Hey guys, it's Jacob here again, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the importance of nonverbal communication in public speaking. Alright, so we have a few different ways here of how to exactly do that. We have hand gestures, which are hand gestures. So when you're speaking to your audience, you're moving your hands, you're trying to give them a different sense of what you're trying to say. You're trying to give them a different aspect or a different view of the point that you're trying to convey so that they can maybe understand it a little bit easier. Next, we have eye contact. I feel like eye contact is one of the most important ways because if you're not looking at your audience, who are you talking to? Are you talking to the wall? Are you talking to the ceiling or whatever? You need to be making eye contact with your audience because that shows that you have confidence in what you're saying and it shows that you really care about what you're saying. And lastly is space utilization. As you can see, I don't really have a lot of space in here, but normally you want to be moving around, you want to be using the space that you have. You want to be getting close to audience members so that they feel connected to you in a different way. Alright, so some reasons here for nonverbal communication. As I said, hand gestures are a crucial part of any presentation. You really want to be moving your hands. You really want to be just exercising your movements. You want to be, stimulating blood flow. You want to be involved and proactive in what you're saying. Eye contact, again, you want to be looking at your audience in the eyes because, again, if you're not looking at your audience in the eyes, then who are you talking to? You're not going to be connecting with them on that personal level. You're not going to be really conveying your point well enough to them because you're not looking at them. They can't really look at you face to face and understand what you're saying because you're kind of talking in a different direction. And space utilization, again, it's one of the best tools really for public speaking. It really does create a whole type of different dynamic for speaking. When you utilize your space, you're really taking up the entire arena, you're taking up the entire stage, and you're touching your audience, you're getting more in tune and close to your audience in a different way than you really could than just regular talking. Alright, some reasons that we forget nonverbal communication are anxiety. A lot of people suffer from anxiety in public speaking. Fear, doubt. Doubt is it's a huge one. Doubt is something that everybody goes through in their life. When it comes to public speaking, if you doubt yourself, you're not going to be able to really convey your point properly. You're not going to be able to get through the end of your speech confidently, and you're not going to get across your point that you wanted to make to the audience. If you doubt yourself, it's really going to hold you back from anything that you want to do in life. Intimidation, so such as like a really big audience size. So say like you're speaking in front of 1,000 people. You're going to be intimidated by that maybe. I don't know. It depends who you are. Me personally, not really. I don't know. I'm not the best speaker. However, I'm not afraid to talk in front of thousands of people, to be honest. Lack of practice. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to really speak well enough on that topic. You're going to go off and you're going to not follow the plan that you set for yourself. Nervousness, uncontrolled emotions is a big one for me. If you're breathing too hard or if you get really emotional during your speech, which it really depends on how you get emotional, but like if you can't catch your breath, if you can't catch your train of thought, you're not going to really make it through the end of your speech properly. Lack of knowledge of the topic and low self-esteem. A lot of people suffer from low self-esteem. They feel like they're not good enough to really necessarily go out there and give a speech in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So that's another thing that we can all, work on. That's another reason why we forget nonverbal communication because we're just standing there talking like this, and we're not talking, we're not moving around, we're not using hand gestures, and we're not looking each other in the eye because when we're nervous, we're going to be looking all out here, and we're not going to really be making any sense. Statistics. Okay, so this is interesting. 7% of Americans fear public speaking. So that's a pretty large amount. I know 7 isn't a big number, but that's a pretty large amount. I know a lot of people myself that suffer from social anxiety and public speaking, and I think that's pretty crazy. I think it's a really common thing amongst most people. 6% of male Americans have speaking anxiety. So that's another pretty big one. And then 7% or 8% of females have speaking anxiety. And then 5.3 million Americans have social phobia. That's a really, really big one. That's a lot of people right there. A lot of people really don't like to socialize, and they have a hard time talking in front of a mass group of people. And I feel like that's a really common problem here in the U.S. with a lot of people. Alright, so some ways to prepare and avoid speaking anxiety or not using nonverbal communications are to prepare, obviously. you want to practice out loud. You want to get a group of friends and practice your speech out loud in front of them so they can critique you and give you proper feedback and not judge you, and they can really help you get through your speech properly. Next is breathing and releasing. So maybe, before your speech, you want to breathe, collect your thoughts. You want to really gather yourself, and you want to pace yourself during your speech. You want to be breathing in between your sentences, in between your words whenever you can, and not really motor mouthing or rushing. You want to visualize success. You want to believe in yourself. You don't want to doubt yourself. Okay, this is back when it comes to doubt. You want to visualize yourself succeeding and giving a proper speech and conveying your point properly to the audience. And next, you want to minimize what you memorize. So you don't want to memorize too much, okay? Because you don't want to just be reciting off of a screen or off of a piece of paper or anything like that. You want to know what you're talking about so that you don't have to look at anything. You can just talk about it because you know about it. And then lastly, you want to outline. You just want to write down your ideas. It's simple. Write down your ideas. Repetition. It helps you get through stuff like that. All right, so conclusion. Nonverbal communication is the best form of communication, in my opinion, because you're walking, you're talking, you're looking, and you're moving your hands. People are really getting a different aspect of you through each one of those dynamics, and it's really going to help your speech overall. You want to avoid standing behind a podium. So again, you want to move around, avoid standing still. Keep your hands out of your pockets, keep the hands moving, keep the gestures going, keep talking to people in a different way. And avoid browsing the room with your eyes. Avoid, looking off like this. You really want to make that eye contact. Again, nonverbal communication is very important, and you really want to utilize every single aspect of nonverbal communication because it's really important to touch your audience in different ways other than just talking. Thank you, guys.